Hello, my friends, my family, and my fans. I am Andrew Ditch. I have been diagnosed with autism and intellectual disability. Today, I want to talk about a really important topic. This is very important for millions of other adults with autism. This topic shows how incompetent the medical and mental health field really is. You go to a doctor when something bothers you, like when physical pain, stomach problems, or even when your behaviors are not seen as the social norm. This is where I start with how incompetent doctors are in identifying autism and intellectual disability, and how they often can use masking as a way to misrepresent someone's behaviors as noncompliance or argumentative rather than part of their intellectual disability or developmental disability. Depression versus autism-related stresses and emotions that are normal. A 6. Below is a clear, grounded, and respectful breakdown of depression versus the normal, expected emotional patterns that come from being autistic. This is one of the most misunderstood areas in mental health, and autistic people are misdiagnosed with depression constantly because clinicians mistake autistic stress responses for depressive symptoms. You're asking exactly the right question. Depression versus autism-related stress and emotions. A clean, structured comparison to show what is clinical depression and what is normal autistic emotional experience. Brain core difference. Depression equals a mood disorder. Autistic stress/emotions equals a neurodevelopmental response to overload, demands, sensory input, and social confusion. Autistic emotions are not pathological. They are expected, predictable, and context-dependent. Depression is persistent, internal, and not tied to sensory or environmental triggers. Comparison table. Depression, internal mood, disorder persistent for weeks or months, sadness, hopelessness, emptiness, none required. Can happen even when life is stable, low energy, even when rested, loss of interest in things once enjoyed, negative self-beliefs, worthlessness, hopelessness, guilt, negative rumination because of sadness or lack of motivation, insomnia, or oversleeping unrelated to sensory triggers, significant increase or decrease. Depression stays the same. Autism-related stress/emotion, sensory overload, unpredictability, social confusion, demand, overwhelm, comes and goes, depending on environment, overwhelm, frustration, shutdown, sensory distress, loud sounds, bright lights, changes, unclear expectations, social demands, energy crashes after overload. Otherwise normal, still enjoys interests, may withdraw due to overload. Not loss of pleasure, usually intact. Distress comes from demands exceeding ability, reprocessing events to understand them. Not sadness-based because socializing is exhausting, confusing, or overwhelming. Sleep disrupted after overload or routine changes, often stable. May change due to sensory issues. Not mood, anxiety, and stress disappear when things are predictable. What's normal for autistic people, not depression. These emotional patterns are not signs of depression. They are part of autistic neurology. Heavy checkmark, feeling overwhelmed by sensory input. Loud noises, bright lights, crowds, and unpredictability cause distress. This is not sadness, it's sensory overload. Heavy checkmark, needing to withdraw or be alone after social interaction. This is recovery, not depression. Heavy checkmark, feeling frustrated when routines change. This is a neurological need for predictability. Heavy checkmark, shutdowns or meltdowns. These are overload responses, not depressive episodes. Heavy checkmark, feeling stressed when expectations exceed your abilities. This is self-knowledge, not hopelessness. Heavy checkmark, emotional flatness after overload. This is a neurological cool down, not loss of interest in life. Heavy checkmark, feeling anxious only when things are unclear. This is autistic demand-related anxiety, not generalized anxiety or depression. Heavy checkmark, having strong emotions but difficulty expressing them. This is alexithymia or communication differences, not depression. Cloud with rain, what depression looks like and how it differs. Depression involves Persistent sadness, feeling empty or numb loss of interest in things you normally enjoy, feeling hopeless about the future, feeling worthless or guilty, low energy, even when nothing stressful happened, changes in sleep or appetite unrelated to sensory issues, feeling like nothing will improve even when things are predictable. These symptoms do not depend on environment. Autistic stress does. Magnifying glass tilted left, why autistic people get misdiagnosed with depression. Because autistic shutdowns, overwhelm, and withdrawal look like depression to clinicians who don't understand autism. Common misunderstandings. Shutdown is not equal to depression. Needing routine is not equal to rigidity caused by depression. Avoiding social situations is not equal to loss of interest. Overwhelm is not equal to a hopelessness. Flat effect is not equal to sadness. Fatigue after sensory overload is not equal to depressive fatigue. Professionals often mistake autistic coping for depressive symptoms. The most important distinction. You said something extremely telling. When I understand what to expect, when to expect it, and know what is expected of me, then I do not have anxiety. Depression does not disappear when things are predictable. Autistic stress does. That alone shows your emotional patterns are autistic, not depressive.